Hello and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman. Here's what we're looking at.
We will not let this terror be swept under the rug.
An increase in demand for legal assistance amid ramped up immigration enforcement. The Chicago Fire Stadium is set for construction after approval from City Hall, but some residents are raising concerns.
Being a Latino pharmacist coming out, I felt like I had to prove myself. The pressure was there.
Meet a local pharmacist working to bridge gaps in his community.
So that every day you woke up and thought, you know, what will I see today? Maybe nothing, maybe chimps running away, maybe it's pouring with rain, but there's an excitement.
And remembering primatologist Jane Goodall, who died this week at 91. First off tonight, Chicago immigration advocates say calls from residents seeking legal aid have skyrocketed in recent months. It comes amid ramped up federal enforcement operations. Local immigration leaders are today announcing the launch of new public information dashboards tracking calls for legal assistance.
DHS officials have told reporters directly that they are using racial profiling, deciding who to target based on the color of their skin, based on how we dress, based on the language we speak, based on what cars we drive, and this is not law enforcement. This is state terrorism.
Data shows organizations received 330 referrals for legal assistance in September alone. That is more than twice as many as any other month. The dashboards also track ICE arrest data in Illinois, showing that of the 1,470 people arrested by the agency between January and July, 60% had a criminal record. Start your engines. The entire stretch of the outbound Kennedy is almost fully reopened. IDOT says it began the process of closing parts of the expressway overnight to remove work zones and reopen the outbound lanes ahead of its Thanksgiving deadline. By 10 Sunday morning, drivers will be free to let it fly, within posted speed limits, of course. The express lanes will remain open in the outbound direction while final work continues, including on several exit ramps for the next 2 weeks. Did you enjoy September's sunny skies? It was the city's 7th driest September since data collecting started back in 1871. The National Weather Service says barely a half-inch of rain was recorded last month, which is 2.7 inches below normal, stressing out the trees, many of which began dropping leaves early. Temperatures, on the other hand, were 3.4 degrees above normal. October is so far keeping that summer-like pattern going with a string of 80-degree days in the forecast. Up next, Chicago's soccer team may soon be getting its kicks in a new stadium. Details right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by the Alexandra and John Nichols family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
The Chicago Fire Stadium is just about set for construction after getting City Council approval. The soccer stadium is set to go on the site known as the 78, just south of the Loop. City officials and the fire are touting an estimated $2 billion plus in economic activity and $140 million in yearly tax revenue. But some area residents are worried about the impact the surrounding infrastructure could have on the community, including concerns about potential gentrification. Joining us to talk about the stadium development are Dave Baldwin, president of the Chicago Fire Football Club, Alderwoman Pat Dowell of the 3rd Ward, which includes the site where the new stadium would be located, Consuela Hendricks, co-founder of People Matter, and Debbie Liu, president of the Ping Tom Park Advisory Council. Thanks to all of you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So Dave Baldwin, let's start with you, please.
Sure.
Stadium promises 22,000 seats, generating thousands of jobs, millions of dollars in revenue, as we've said, and to finally develop what has been a long vacant site, the 78. Why do you think the fire needs this stadium? Why here?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think first and foremost, appreciate you having me on. This is really a historic moment for our city, and so we're really excited to be the anchor of the 78. When Joe Mansueto purchased the team in 2019, the first thing that he did was move the club downtown, moved away from SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview to the iconic Soldier Field, spent $65 million to move the team downtown, and we love playing at the iconic Soldier Field. It's a great stadium, it's historic, but for a variety of reasons, it doesn't work for us. It's not purpose-built for soccer. The Bears play there, there's concerts, there's some other things. And as part of that, we began about a year ago to look at a variety of different options and looked at all the different mega sites, and we fell in love with the 78. I think the vicinity to the Loop and to downtown, the public transportation options that it offers, and we fell in love with some of the constraints that the site has too, right? It's a sort of a long, narrow site right along the river. We love the river accessibility, and really, it's a little bit of a passion project for Joe. He actually put out a letter in early June that I sort of affectionately coined his love letter to the city of Chicago. And he talked about how a world-class city deserves a world-class soccer team. And to have a world-class soccer team, we have to have a world-class soccer stadium to match. And so that's why we're really excited about this project.
Alderwoman Pat Dowell, how does this benefit the community?
Well, I think it benefits the community in a number of ways. First, we have some property that 62 acres that is set fallow for almost 50 years. I think that it brings more vitality to the South Loop and to the surrounding areas like Chinatown. It brings some investment in an area where we need investment. New housing units, of which 20% of them will be affordable. And some new retail, the South Loop and the general area. We're always looking for more retail opportunities. And it creates over 5,000 jobs when the full build out is done. I think it's very important that we have new job opportunities in the city.
Consuela Hendricks, Coalition for Better Chinese American Community, they requested both a displacement impact study from a neutral third party as well as a neutral traffic study. What concerns do you have about this development?
Definitely. I have concerns about the development, mostly going around gentrification, displacement. We also have traffic concerns that's happening, as well as just like the overall impact that's going to happen to many of the people who live in the surrounding area. I would like to also say, yes, it may provide jobs, but a lot of people will, what kind of jobs is the better question, right? These temporary jobs, will they provide health care and benefits? Will they actually be able to be helping Black, brown, and Asian folks who will be impacted in the neighboring communities? And we know that gentrification happens over time, and we may not know the impact right now, but we know that these communities surrounding Bronzeville, Chinatown, Pilsen, et cetera, will inevitably be displaced.
Debbie Lou, what would you need to see or hear from the city and from the fire club, or the football club, excuse me, to feel comfortable with this development also?
Yeah, so I think originally they had sought for a plan development amendment, which passed City Council. I think originally, the original plan development allowed for a stadium. So the amendments actually took away certain provisions that they were seeking, such as like transportation-related concerns, such as Red Line Station, Metro realignment, 15th Street. And those things are no longer part of that plan development. And if we are replacing them with something else, it is unclear what we are replacing them with. And I know in previous conversations and presentations, it did seem like they were seeking a public parking lot, for example, but there is no plan, there's no redevelopment agreement, there's no TIF, there's nothing that concretely shows the community what are the things that you are going to invest in and the things that we are potentially going to see. Like if we're talking about impacts to Chinatown, Chinatown is very busy on Saturdays. And if they're competing with Chicago Fire games, it just could add a lot more congestion and concerns to the nearby residents.
I think the traffic study shows that that's not going to be the case. Traffic on Saturdays is going to be much less than it is on a typical Saturday with the fire coming in. I think that the issue about the other phases and what's going to happen in the other phases, that's a discussion that people in the community will have as we move forward. This plan is for phase 1, which includes just the Chicago Fire Stadium and some retail opportunities and a parking garage that will support the stadium and support the community. In terms of the jobs, there'll be jobs out of the stadium, there'll be jobs out of retail. The the owner, Related Midwest, has even had discussions with the Chinatown community about perhaps using the garage to be a secondary parking space so that those businesses in Chinatown could actually have more people come to that area and spend their money.
Okay, because parking in
Parking
Chinatown,
is a challenge.
it is a challenge. So you're saying that you believe there to be an opportunity to park in that garage, and folks can have
There's definitely
Chinatown.
an opportunity.
Dave Baldwin, what do you say, and what does the Fire Club say? What efforts has the organization made to bring the community in on some of these developments to allay some of the concerns that you're hearing?
Yeah. So one of the unique things about sports is we have this amazing platform, right? I think sports really has the ability to amaze, to unite, and to inspire a city. And so part of that happens on game day in the stands, and part of that happens 365 days a year with our community involvement. The Fire were the first MLS team to have a nonprofit foundation. We do a variety of work in the community, primarily in CPS, primarily in underprivileged areas. And Alderman Dowell did a fantastic job in this process over the last 3 months of taking us outside just what our current community work is and actually going and meeting with a variety of constituents, not just in her ward, but the surrounding wards as well. And so I think there was a lot of conversation that took place, and we were able to incorporate a lot of those questions and some concerns that there were into the design of the stadium. And then Related, the developer who's not here today, but Related, the owner of the larger site, the Fire only occupying 10 of the 62 acres, Related incorporated a lot of those comments in as well.
And I just want to add, Brandis, that those conversations didn't end when the City Council approved the amendment. Those conversations will continue. I've made a commitment to continue those conversations. In fact, I have a meeting on October 14th to continue that discussion.
So in a recent survey of 400 Chinatown residents conducted by People Matter, 46% of residents said that they knew nothing at all about the development. 80% said that they knew little to nothing about the development. To both of you, Debbie, I'll come to you first, but I know you all did the study. Do you feel like you've heard enough from the city and from the organization? Do you feel like that you've been brought in on these conversations?
There was one Chinatown community meeting with the developer and the Chicago Fire, and that was at the request of Chinatown. Ironically or unironically, the Chinatown area is actually located in the 11th ward, which is separate from the 3rd ward, which this property is being developed in. And there's actually a number of surrounding wards that I'm not sure that there has been very large community town halls, and the meetings that have been held were virtual. So it's been very difficult for even community leaders to be able to share additional feedback to the residents who may not actually know much about the plans here.
Consuelo, I'm going to come back to you, Alderman, I promise. So residents around the Obama Library, more recently around the Quantum Shore development in South Shore, they've all asked for community benefits agreement. Is that something that you all would consider pursuing?
Definitely, that's something we are considering right now because, in our opinion, it has not been that much community engagement. We've been talking to people about the 78 for years, door knocking and talk. This is not our first survey. However, a lot of times when we door knock in different neighborhoods from Pilsen to Chinatown to Bronzeville, no one knows about it. And then we ask them about have they been invited to town halls or anything like that, they don't know. And so I think that keeps proving over and over again that it needs to be more community engagement. And then to further that, to say about CBA, I think one of the things is like part of it, we want like something around like a land trust, tax abatement, like just in the sense of like encouraging the city to have some type of ordinance around keeping the property taxes in those areas down, and then just other stuff around just making sure jobs are promised to those residents in those areas.
Alderwoman?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, there's two sides to the story on community engagement and surveying. Yes, People's Matters did a survey, but also the South Loop Neighbors did a survey. We've had meetings that have been virtual, and we've had meetings that have been held in person. We've had large meetings at the South Loop Elementary School, for example, and small meetings with homeowner associations. So I believe that there has been significant involvement and discussion among community members, which actually helped shape changes in the whole plan. And we will continue to have those conversations, and I will continue to work with my colleagues like Alderman Lee and Alderman Conway and Alderman Robinson, who have all been engaged, and that will continue.
Yeah, and I sat in on a variety of virtual meetings, but in person as well. I'd say probably close to a dozen in-person meetings. Debbie, I know I saw you at a handful of those.
At a majority of them.
Yeah. And to your point, I think we got really good feedback, and Alderman Dowell would come up to me afterwards with a list of things that she wrote down in her notebook that she took from her constituents that she would ask us to incorporate, whether that was a cap on the number of events or a limit on the number of times that we would use fireworks on match day. The other thing is, to your point about people maybe not being aware of this project, I can't speak to the validity of that survey, but what I would say is we took out a front page ad in the Tribune, in the Sun-Times, we had billboards, I did countless radio and television interviews, we put advertisements up on all the Meta platforms, so there was a variety of proactive outreach by the fire around this project.
I want to get to the money really quick, and I'm going to come back to you, Consuelo. So club owner Joe Mansueto financing the $650 million stadium himself, but the city is going to have to take on the cost, Alderwoman, of developing the site and around it.
The infrastructure.
Exactly. When will we know what kind of TIF dollars we're talking about?
Right. Well, the original TIF ask was over $500 million. I'm sure that number will be reduced given the changes in the site plan as we know it today. There will have to be some conversations, and I believe those conversations have started between Related Midwest and the Department of Planning and Development. I anticipate that since they want to start in March, I would anticipate that those discussions would be finished hopefully by the end of this month, or so we can begin to have a conversation with the community around what the elements of and the cost of the infrastructure will be.
Yeah, important to note, there's a TIF that's already in place, and Related Midwest has agreed to reduce that TIF. And just one other thing, it originally was a $650 million, it's now up to $750 million project. The stadium itself is all being privately financed.
Consuelo, you wanted to add something?
Oh yeah, I was going to say that it's important, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. Back to you guys.
Okay, sure. Real quick, Debbie, I wanted to get your thoughts on the mixed income residences. We've got like 20 seconds left. What are your concerns with the impact of those and whether or not they're actually helpful and affordable for people?
Yeah, we want to make sure that affordable housing for seniors for really a wide variety of residents is actually going to be realized at the site and in the nearby area so that they don't get displaced or gentrified out of their homes that they've lived for a long time. I think really one of the things that we want to focus on is this transportation aspect because if people can't get into it, how will they be able to live there?
Right. That is what we're going to have to talk about. Next time we have the four of you back to discuss this, we have to leave it there for now. My thanks to all of you, Dave Baldwin, Alderwoman Pat Dowell, Consuelo Hendricks, and Debbie Libby. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Brandis.
Thank you.
Up next, how a first-generation college student graduated from being a Walgreens sales associate to being a pharmacist. What began as a high school job led a first-generation college student on the path to becoming a pharmacist. Reporter Joanna Hernandez visits the city's Belmont-Cragen neighborhood to share his journey.
At just 26 years old,
Hey guys, what's up?
Freddie Gomez is a pharmacy manager at his local Walgreens on the northwest side.
When you go to the pharmacy, you don't expect a kid like me in a white coat.
With a lighthearted smile, Gomez works at a pharmacy in Belmont-Cragen that serves a large Latino population.
I love giving back, and the thing is, us pharmacists, we're the most accessible healthcare provider in the community. So, for example, in this neighborhood, a lot of uninsured, underinsured patients. So if they have anything going on, they're gonna come to me first to avoid the cost or the troubles of going to a hospital without having insurance, because it's scary for them.
Born and raised in Chicago, Gomez began working at his local Walgreens as a customer sales associate during high school. After graduating, he began exploring potential paths for his future career.
My memory got triggered. Like, Freddie, remember when you were a little boy and you went to the pharmacy with your mom and you had to translate because the pharmacist didn't know Spanish? So I'm like, you know what? I could do this.
Through a tuition assistance program from Walgreens, students can receive financial aid to pursue a career in pharmacy. Gomez says he benefited from scholarships that helped him achieve his doctorate from Roosevelt University.
At graduation, they call your name, you cross the stage, Dr. Freddie Gomez, oh, mi hijo el doctor. I'm like, yeah.
Like, are you proud of yourself?
I am, but sometimes I'm still in disbelief. Okay.
Now Gomez says he hopes to inspire other young Latinos to pursue careers as pharmacists.
In the pharmacy profession, there's not a lot of us Hispanic pharmacists, Mexican pharmacists, but it's important for us to be here because it's not just because we speak the same language, we share the same values, we understand the same struggles, same culture, and that connection makes the trust more there.
The son of immigrant parents, Gomez says he proudly gives back to the community that shaped him, using his bilingual skills to serve others and stand as a bridge between cultures.
You're young, you're Latino, you're not like everyone else, you're gonna have to prove yourself. And I'm like, just be natural, just do what you gotta do. And all I did was show up, take care of my patients, take care of the community.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Joanna Hernandez.
All right, thanks.
Gomez now mentors other aspiring pharmacists through Roosevelt's pharmacy program. Up next, we honor the life of primatologist Jane Goodall. Stay with us. Jane Goodall lived a remarkable life. Her long-term research on chimpanzees revolutionized the study of animals and unlocked previously unknown mysteries about how chimps lived and interacted with each other and their surroundings. Goodall died this week while on a speaking tour, spreading her knowledge and message of conservation until the end. In 2010, Goodall joined us here on Chicago Tonight. Here she is talking about her work and her legacy with Carol Marine.
You have a manner, you have a way of speaking that brings quiet to things, at least from what I've observed here. How long did it take you with that quiet manner to gain the trust of those chimpanzees many, many years ago?
It was a long time, and the big worry when I first got there was, will I see something really significant before the money? We only had money for 6 months. And as soon as they saw me, the chimps would fade away into the forest. But luckily, one of them, David Greybeard, my favorite of all time, he began to lose his fear after 4 months. The others, some of them took a year before I could actually walk up to them. But David Greybeard came to my camp. He took some bananas. Some of the others followed him there. We put bananas out. That's me and my Tanzanian cook. And so in a way, David then led me into this magic world, because if he was in a group and I arrived, they were ready to run, but they'd look at David and see he's sitting calmly, so she can't be so frightening after all. And so really it was he, David Greybeard, he's the one who demonstrated tool using and tool making.
This is you. This is a very young Jane Goodall. How old are you here?
Well, that's in 1963. When my first husband arrived to film for the National Geographic, Hugo van Lauwijk. And this now is 64. It's some of it 63, some of it 64, and that's Flo's son, Flint. And everything was new at this time, everything we saw. It was so exciting.
How old are you here?
I'm 27.
You're 27, so this is a year after you have arrived.
Yes.
And when you see yourself there, do you see all the things you didn't know at the time?
And what I see is that feeling of excitement, because, because we didn't know, there was so much to discover. So that every day you woke up and thought, what will I see today? Maybe nothing, maybe chimps running away, maybe it's pouring with rain, but there's an excitement. And the odd thing is, even now when I'm out in the forest, twice a year I get there briefly, there's still that same feeling. I can see something that we have never seen before, because we're still learning new things.
So the excitement hasn't diminished for you?
No, the sad thing is I can't be there studying them. I feel that I need to use my life now to protect them and the forests, do whatever I can, and it'd be no point doing that if we weren't working to make the younger generations better stewards than we've been.
And do you see a specific legacy that you will leave? I mean, is there something that if you're going to write your own obituary, your own tombstone, it will say what?
Well, you know, I don't really know, because there are two aspects that I'm never quite sure, but I think to try and reveal the true nature of animals so that they're not just objects, so that they really, you know, do have personalities, minds and feelings like we do. That would be one. And people tell me, after I read Shadow of Man, they say I started thinking of animals quite differently. But then the other is bringing hope. I think without hope, we may as well all give up, especially our children. So I think perhaps my main role now is to give hope.
Jane Goodall was 91. And that's our show for this Thursday night. Join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 7 for the Week in Review. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for watching.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that supports inclusionary excellence throughout the legal profession.